What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Customizing Culture, the HeatPressNation podcast. My name is Jared, and today I have a very special guest. I am joined by Wyatt Strassner of AS Color. Guys, they make amazing blanks. Of course, we're going to dive into it more in this podcast. So, Wyatt, thank you so much for joining me, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Great to see you.
Dude, thank you. As you can tell, I'm a fan. I got and this is before we even booked him on the podcast. Got my AS Color hat, my surf cap.
Love it. I noticed it right when I walked in.
This might be the 5.3 ounce tee.
The staple tee.
The staple tee. Yeah. Love the stuff. So yeah, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do and about AS Color?
Yeah, for sure. So I am the Northwest sales rep. I've been with the company for 7 years now, which was basically the inception of when AS Color launched in the U.S. So I've really seen it go from basically a small acorn into a mighty oak.
Nice.
Here in the market. And super excited to be here. For those of you who don't know, AS Color is a premium blank garment company. We're originally from New Zealand, but since then we've expanded to Australia, the North America, with the US and Canada, and then the UK. So currently up to 5 distribution centers across these various regions. And
very cool.
Looking forward to more growth here in the future.
Have they sent you to headquarters over there in New Zealand? Or?
They have, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I was actually there last month in March of 2023. And it was a really cool experience. That was the second time I've been to New Zealand.
Dude, that's super cool. So now, can you tell me a little bit about like the history of AS Color? Like, how did it get started? Was it formed as a premium brand, or did it kind of like grow into that? Like, give me a little bit of the story.
Sure. So the inception of the company was basically the owner was originally a distributor for various apparel and footwear companies. American companies into New Zealand. So he was bringing in a lot of American product into his home market. And at the time, he was bringing in all-style T-shirts back in the early 2000s.
Yes, nice.
And he saw a need for basically a female equivalent to an all-style T-shirt, which he wasn't able to source at that time. So he thought, well, I'll just go out and make my own T-shirt and start selling that to my customers. And, it was interesting because he saw the need for that female T-shirt, and he wanted to make a high-quality product. And when he saw the response from his initial customers, he was like, well, this is a pretty good thing I've got going here. I'm going to start making, men's T-shirts and, eventually other products. And it kind of just has snowballed since then. So now we're up to over 300 products. We've got 6,000 SKUs across our collection.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, and 350 global employees.
Jeez, yeah.
25 retail stores across 3 countries.
Dude, that's pretty impressive so now you've been on 7 years. What year was AS Color started? Or how old is AS Color in general?
It's just approaching 20 years. I want to say it was maybe 2003, 2004 that it started.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah. And originally it was just New Zealand, and then it expanded into Australia about 10, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then the US was about 7 years. And then we've been in the UK for about 5 years now. Dude,
that is super exciting. So now, what influenced the jump to the US? Because it was over there in New Zealand, Australia for a little while, right?
Yeah.
And then what came first, US or UK?
US came first.
Okay.
And that kind of paved the way for the UK. But from my understanding, the owner of the company had his eye on the US market for several years prior to actually launching. But it was really just a question of timing and making sure the infrastructure and all the kind of pieces were in place. And so it was super exciting to learn that it was coming in 2016, and the opportunity found its way to me to be the second hire. And
really, so you're U.S. employee number 2?
I'm U.S. employee number 2.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I've really seen it from the baby that it was into the giant that it is now.
So now tell me a little bit about your background. Were you involved in blank apparel in any way before coming over to AS Color?
Yeah, so I've been a creative basically my whole life. When I was in high school back in, 2006, 2007, my buddy and I started a screen printing operation. We got like a Riley Hopkins, 6-head manual press and a little conveyor dryer, and we set up shop in his parents' barn at the time. And we were printing T-shirts. And that kind of got me started on the whole graphic design train. So he would focus on more of the business aspect, and I would focus on the design.
You got to have one of each.
You do.
In any T-shirt shop, Usually the design guys, and not this is not a slight in any way.
Of course.
Usually design guys are probably not the business guys, and the business guys are almost never the design guys.
Yeah.
I know sometimes you got to be both, but
it's that left and right brain kind of coming together.
For sure.
So I started doing that in high school, and then that kind of paved the way for graphic design, which I studied in college. So I have a degree in graphic design from SDSU. And then after college, I was doing freelance design and working in other creative fields, doing music and all this and that. And then the opportunity to do AS Color came on board, and I was like, well, this is a pretty cool company based on what I'm seeing and hearing. And so I took the opportunity and got into the sales side of things.
Nice.
And it's been a great ride for the past 7 years.
That's cool. That's actually about how long I've been here.
Cool.
This month, April, will be my 7 years here. And it's kind of funny because I don't have the exact same background, but I feel like we're kind of on parallel paths. I had a creative background, kind of more on the job training, but doing graphic design, music related. So I was doing flyers for bands or making their album covers and stuff like that. And then eventually I was like, hey, and for me, it was more I was dating my girlfriend, who's not my wife at the time. Not my wife. At the time, my girlfriend. And then I was like, I need a real job. And so then I found HeatPressNation, and it's been a great ride ever since. So it's funny, before that I had creative experience, but just zero apparel experience. And I feel like all I do now is just t-shirts.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. Dude, I probably throw away a half dozen t-shirts every month.
I hope they're not AS Color t-shirts.
No. I'm filtering out my lesser quality, and we'll talk about those ones. My lesser quality brands, but I'm always making new ones.
Yeah.
And because I work here at HeatPressNation, we got all the gear here.
Of course,
so I'm always making new t-shirts, and my drawer's always overflowing, which drives my wife nuts. So I always got new ones. But I feel like as the AS colors are starting to flow in, because I just started using AS Color, probably just barely a couple months, maybe 2-3 months or so.
Okay, wow. So pretty new still.
Pretty new, yeah.
Wow.
So actually, when was the Impressions Expo in Long Beach?
That was January.
Okay. So it's been a little longer now.
Yeah.
So right around that time, because when I stopped by the AS Color booth, and I forget his name, but I talked to a very nice, tall Australian gentleman.
It was probably Joe.
Probably, yes, that sounds familiar. Yeah, so I talked to him. Super cool guy. And anyways, I stopped by the booth, and at that point, I had already had a T-shirt from one of my friends here, one of the other HPN people.
Right.
And then I'm there at the booth, and I'm just feeling everything. And then I try on the surf hat.
Oh, game over.
Dude, I love these freaking hats.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah. So as my AS colors, they're trickling in, they're filtering in. All the other ones are getting moved out.
I can totally sympathize with that. I mean, so I have probably close to 150 to 200 blank AS Color t-shirts at this point now.
Nice.
Getting all the colors and all the different styles and getting familiar with them. And it's funny because a lot of them are actually 7 years old now because I got them early on when we launched back in 2016. And I still wear them because they're still legit. The colors still look good. The necks are still solid. And that's kind of just part of the whole quality aspect of our garments. We really build them to stand the test of time.
Yeah. So tell me, what goes into making an AS Color shirt?
I mean, it's a pretty lengthy R&D process. It all starts with the raw materials, right? We use a premium blend of Australian, Indian, and American cotton, which is pretty unique. There's not many other manufacturers that are sourcing Australian cotton, and that's part of what makes that really nice AS Color kind of hand feel on the garments. But yeah, so starting with premium raw materials, then kind of working backwards from the production side, finding the right factory. I mean, we've been doing production now for close to 20 years, so we have our factories pretty dialed in. But as we're constantly expanding and introducing new products, we're trying to find the best manufacturing partners. And we'll sometimes interview as many as, 30 to 50 factories before we decide on one for production. So we really are pretty exhaustive at all areas of the production process. And from there, we find our factory, we go into the production process, we sample it out. I mean, we've got one of the best production teams in the world, I think. And hopefully that translates through once you actually get the garments. But it's interesting because the products go through, various life cycles. We obviously do the, the pre-production samples, and sometimes those will be in the pipeline for 6 months to a year before they actually go into production.
And that's kind of like dialing in the fit, the cut, or
dialing in the fit, the cut, the colors, the wearability, sending it through hundreds of washes before we're confident in like, okay, we're going to go ahead and release this as a new fabric or a new product. So
you guys must be pretty confident when you when something actually makes it to market, to have to get through that many hurdles. You got to be pretty confident about that.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely want to put the best product out there.
Yeah.
We're trying to really make a statement in the industry of, hey, this is our brand ethos. We're starting at quality as opposed to starting at a different place, which might not be the same across the whole industry.
Yeah, I mean, there's some brands out there. Their goal is to get you the cheapest T-shirt in your hand.
Sure.
Which I have mixed feelings about that.
So do I.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I'm not 100% against it, but then you come across a brand like AS Color where it's not about getting the cheapest thing in somebody's hand.
It's not necessarily about getting the cheapest thing in someone's hand. I like to think of it as getting a product that has the best value. So the exchange of the quality that you're getting for the money that you're paying. In a lot of cases, the money that you're paying is not going to be that much more, and it might even be similar to existing products that you're already buying.
It is.
But the gap between the quality that you're getting from product A to product AS Color is pretty significant. So we're really a value-driven company of like, we want to give the best quality product that we can for a very competitive price point.
I feel like that aligns a lot with HeatPressNation. We have our brand of heat presses, which is a few different models, like Black Series, Signature Series. How am I blanking on this? I work here. M-Press, Craft Pro. Anyways, we have our line of heat presses, and they're not the cheapest on the market, but they're for sure not the most expensive. But in my opinion, and not just because I work here, like, they're the best value.
Yeah.
So I feel like we totally align on that.
100%.
Like, there's something about like getting every dollar's worth and then some out of a product.
Absolutely.
And it feels very satisfying.
It feels really satisfying. And, I think in an age where the consumer can crowdsource knowledge instantly on the internet, it's really more important now than ever to be, putting out premium products that attract, premium audiences.
Yeah, for sure. Have you ever seen the YouTube? Well, now they're on like Netflix or Hulu or something like that. Did you ever watch that show, Worth It?
Worth It? I'm not familiar with it.
Okay,
no.
Dude. Do you enjoy food? I'll ask you that.
I do enjoy food.
Okay, you're gonna love Worth It. So basically, it's these dudes, and they go to like different restaurants. T-shirts on the brain. They go to different restaurants, and they started off in LA because it's like a BuzzFeed show or whatever, right? Anyways, they'll try because when we chatted a little earlier, you mentioned burgers, right?
Oh, right.
So they'll try like a $6 burger, $40 burger, and like the $500 burger. But they'll say, hey, which one is the most worth it at its price point?
Right.
And they do this for burger, sushi, ramen, like fish, barbecue,
love that.
all of it, right? So if you love food, then you're gonna go through 100 episodes quick. But what I love about that show is they don't ignore the price, but they like judge the food by its quality relative to the price.
Right.
And then they choose what's the most worth it, right?
Totally.
And so, like, I love what you're saying because I feel like AS Color, and if I'm going to shamelessly plug HeatPressNation, it is our podcast, right?
Plug it.
If I'm going to shamelessly plug HeatPressNation, I think we would for sure be the worth it winners in a lot of, it's not a competition, but in a lot of competitions, I feel like we'd be the worth it winners because the value that you get at the price point is just so worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, there's definitely some interesting psychology going on here. Obviously, business is, the first motive is, we want to be profitable, right? So I understand why you're saying like,
it's not a charity.
Yeah, it's not charity, but it's like, a lot of companies approach that mentality of like, we want to make the cheapest product possible and sell it at the highest price point possible to make the most profit. And I think, brands approach it the same way. Whereas what I've noticed with our AS Color customers is that they understand that it's not as transactional as, buy low, sell high. It's actually an investment. So when you spend a little bit more on a premium product, what you're essentially investing in is the end user's loyalty.
Yes.
You're paying that extra dollar, but what you're getting is the return of them coming back and buying more garments from you and saying, this is my favorite T-shirt. It's the only one I want to wear. And kind of that like extended loyalty over, months and years and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like I go back to the same burger spot.
Exactly.
Because it might not be the cheapest burger in town. In fact, it's definitely not. Yeah, but no, I totally get what you're saying, and again, I really feel like that's why I like you guys.
Yeah. No, we appreciate that.
No, but for reals though, I think, and this is not just AS Color, not just t-shirts, but like I feel like when I find a product that I like, first of all, do I even like it, right?
Right.
But then if I find a product that I like and then I find out that their values align with what I like, I feel like that kind of just like cements my loyalty a little bit more. So it was really cool because of course, dude, HeatPressNation, I go through tons of t-shirts, right?
Right.
I've tried them all. I'm not going to call out all the brands by name.
Of course.
I'm not trying to get anybody's hate comments like, no, that's my favorite shirt. You're dumb.
No, we're only interested in love comments.
Yeah. So I've tried all the shirts, right?
Yeah.
So find AS Color, I'm like, okay, this is a good shirt. But what was really cool is when I kind of looked into the company, like I was like, whoa, like these guys are really like socially conscious.
Yeah.
And then you go deeper. They're like, oh, they're into like sustainability. They're into like environmentally conscious. And so like you pull back the layers of AS Color and you find that there's a really like, or I found anyways, there's like a really deep sense of like responsibility.
Absolutely.
In there. And I'm very curious, like how did that get so ingrained into the DNA of the company? Is the founder, is he like an environmentalist? Like, I don't know. Is he like save the whales? Like, I don't know. Like how did that come to be, I guess?
Yeah. It's a great question. And I think, if I may be so bold to, speak for the company as a whole on this, but I think a lot of that just comes back to our roots in New Zealand. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've been to New Zealand, if you're familiar with it.
I've been wanting to go ever since I saw Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. I was going to say, if you're familiar with Lord of the Rings, you know the landscapes, the vistas. It's one of the most pristine countries that I've ever visited. And a lot of that comes from this overarching New Zealand national sentiment that we need to have stewardship, not only for our country, but for the world as a whole. Yeah. And so when you translate that into business, you really see those kind of values coming forth in our company. There's an old Maori kind of principle. The Maoris are the native indigenous people to New Zealand. And the principle is basically, we understand that the earth is not inherited from our ancestors, it's borrowed from our children.
Whoa.
Which just kind of blew my mind when I first heard that.
That's deep, man.
It's pretty deep. So basically it's kind of illuminating this idea that the decisions that we make today have a ripple effect, across our kids and their kids' kids and, all the way through into the future. And so as a company, we want to make those right decisions and try and do the best we can to, be sustainable and minimize our footprint and, kind of approach all things related to production in an ethical kind of way. And I think a lot of that just comes back to this kind of New Zealand-based mentality. They're a country of 5 million people, and it's just a little bit more of a small batch kind of mentality.
Yeah. That's really cool because, like, obviously you guys could be charging more than what you do. Or you could be doing things cheaper than how you're doing them.
Sure. And
I really respect that because, like me, like, I'm going to be honest, all right? Sometimes I have a hard time choosing between the $3 blank. Like if I'm taking a job, right? Because I have a side business doing this. If I'm taking a job, I do have a hard time sometimes choosing between the $3 blank and then like the $6 blank.
Right.
And sometimes like I know I'm like, oh man. Or even worse when I'm shopping, I'm like, oh man, I can get this one for like $250. Like, and I'm looking at the $250 bottom of the Barrel Economy tees, and I get that they have their place in the market.
Sure.
But there I am, like, I'm sitting like, dude, I know this $250 shirt sucks. Am I gonna put my name on this? Am I gonna fulfill the order with this?
Yeah.
And the conflict is there. And this is at a really small scale of, we're talking $3, right?
Right.
I don't know if you're kind of inside on these decisions, but I mean, it can't be easy, right? Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just saying that to say like that's why I respect the decisions that you guys make for sustainability.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, those decisions, they come at a cost, and it's usually, a higher production cost, which then trickles down to the, consumer at a higher purchasing cost for these blanks. But, you'd be interested to find out that I guess, a lot of our products are priced pretty competitively within the market.
They are, yes. And I should say that, like, I know we're talking about like premium blanks and people are like, oh no, they're charging $40 a t-shirt. No. They're actually really solid pricing. Again, incredible value.
Absolutely. And, we continue to see a need for that in the U.S. market in particular, because the overarching sentimentality is like, hey, we want to have garments that are competitive with these, brands that have been around for decades now. And everyone's used to that $2 or $3 tee. So a couple of years ago, we introduced the 5051 basic tee, which is essentially our price point entry level tee. The starting cost on it is $425. So wholesale. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's a little further away from that $6 tee, but we do obviously go up from there. We've got $5 tees, $7 tees, $10 tees, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's interesting because kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, I think what you had actually alluded to when you said, do I want to put my name on this? It's like, that's where that decision making comes in. I think everyone wants to feel proud about the product that they're putting out.
Yes.
And they want their customers to be repeat customers and buy more. And I think if you're able to kind of identify that early on in the process and make that investment, spending that extra dollar or $1.50, you'll see the returns come through. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I completely agree. The orders. And I'll say this, and this is just my personal experience. I know everybody has different experiences.
Totally.
Usually the economy, because I've done them. I've used the $250 shirt. All right. Usually those orders, like, I don't see those shirts around.
Yeah.
Because I do a lot of local LA businesses, a lot of like faith-based organizations, churches, nonprofits, things like that. So I see these people.
Sure.
And I see my shirts. I see them 2-3 years later, and what I notice is the companies that I fulfilled with the economy shirts. I don't see those shirts around.
Yeah,
I don't see them around a few years, years later. Just the other day, I saw one of my friends. He had a shirt that I had made in 2018.
Oh yeah,
and the graphic was all like crusty, but he's like, but I love the shirt, and I was like, all right. That's cool. No, and it was one of the higher end all styles.
Yeah, exactly. So. No, I mean, I think you definitely hit the nail on the head there. It's like people want to wear the shirts that they feel most comfortable in and they feel most strongly attached to. And usually there's like a pretty clear correlation with like starting at a premium place on the blank side.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I had a thought I wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
But keep firing at me.
Yeah. No. I guess just to kind of not close the chapter on like falling in love with the blank, but I've been wearing this hat every day since we made it here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
there's something that happens when you discover a blank, and I guess this would be my encouragement for anybody watching right now. Like there's something that happens, and I'm sure you've experienced. I'm sure you've experienced. You have like what would you say, 100 t-shirts?
150, 200 now. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but
there's something that happens when you fall in love with a t-shirt. That like even if it's not the coolest decoration, if I have a shirt that's comfy that I just love to wear, I'm gonna wear it and I'm gonna buy more.
Yeah.
Oh dude, and so this hat, the surf hat, I tried it on at the show, and when I tried it, I was like, oh, it unlocked something.
Yeah,
I was like,
totally.
This is super lightweight. It's big, which for me, like at my head, I think my hat size is like 8 1/8 or 8 1/4 something. I have a big head.
Okay.
So and it fit for one. And then, but then it was just so lightweight, and again, just fell in love with the blank. And I think as what I would encourage garment decorators, and I'm sure you probably have some input on this.
Yeah.
Is like if you're using just quality stuff, people are gonna fall in love with your blanks. And heck, not saying use bad artwork, but you don't even have to have the coolest stuff if people love the shirt.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of just going back to that starting point. It's like if you start with a premium product, that ripple effect is pretty obvious when people wear that product and they want to order more, and they, like yourself, like that. I tried on that surf cap and it was a match made in heaven, so to speak, right? No, but we've seen a massive success with that product as well. We launched it with just 3 colors, maybe like 3-4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then we saw a really good response to it. So we rolled out 6 more colors. And then we rolled out 6 more colors.
Nice.
So yeah, we're up to like, I think 16 colors on it now.
Yeah. I love the bone color. That's my favorite. I don't know how new that color is.
The bone color is sick.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Bone is super rad.
Yeah, we've rolled that out across a couple other silhouettes as well. And yeah, we're seeing a good response to the bone. So you'll see more of that coming through later this year.
Super cool.
Yeah, man. Just kind of like going back to the price point tee, you know, the 250 tee versus the AS Color tee, you know, maybe a little bit more expensive. There's some kind of hidden benefits with our kind of whole, you know, business that would be great to just illuminate real quick.
Yeah.
The first would be flat pricing. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, you know, we sell a size small T-shirt for the same cost that we sell a size 3XL T-shirt.
Really?
Yeah. So there's no variability.
I guess I hadn't noticed that. I'm so used to paying extra because this is a 3XL, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm so used to paying extra for 3XL that I'll just place I factor that price. I kind of absorb it across the whole line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't like charging extra for 3XL. I do sometimes if I'm using a blank.
Sure.
That charges more. Dude, that's really interesting that you guys do that.
Yeah, it's super interesting. So like, you know, as relates for decorators, you know, the cost of a small to XL might be more than, you know, you're getting from your other vendor. Mm-hmm. But when you average it out, if they're doing, you know, 2X and 3X,
yes,
the average cost actually comes down a little bit. It gets closer to that, you know, final cost of what the job might be.
Yeah, and I do a lot of 2X and a decent amount of 3X.
Yeah.
Probably because, hey, we all stick together, fluffy people, all right? No, but for real, and sometimes I feel bad having to charge more. It's almost, and this might sound crude, they might cut this out. It almost feels like I'm paying a fat tax. It's like, hey, I happen to be a little bit bigger, but like, it's just one size up, and you're gonna charge me an extra $3.
Totally.
Which means that I have to charge my customer an extra $3.50.
Totally.
To kind of just cover that spread.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really cool that you guys do that.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely do it to kind of
3X.
Eliminate that, you know, quote unquote fat tax.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we just, you know, we want to try and simplify things, right? Mm-hmm. So when you know that your cost is, you know, X and it's not going to be variable for different sizes or different colors,
yeah,
it just makes it more easy to get that quote and speed the job process along. And, you know, keeping things simple is kind of one of our core company principles.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great example of it.
Yeah. And I think that adds a lot of value to decorators because I know a lot of brands, they don't even offer past XL because they don't want to get into the additional pricing and all that. There's a lot of places that I'll try to shop, right? And I know there's small independent print shops, you know, small line based out of someone's garage, but I love them. I want to support cool artwork, right?
Right.
And they don't have a 3X.
Yeah.
And I know exactly why, because I'm in the same game. And it's like, oh, darn it. So I feel like having that flat pricing is going to open the doors for so many people to offer those extended sizes to 3XL and then get even more business.
Absolutely.
Because like if I'm not buying from you because you don't have my size, how many other people are not buying from you because you don't have that size?
Probably a decent amount.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we basically do the flat pricing for small up to 3XL or extra small, for, you know, depending on the style. Mm-hmm. And then we do have even additional extended sizes, 4 and 5XL on certain products.
Nice.
And very those do fall under a different price bracket, but the 4X is a pretty far gap from the, you know, the XL 2X upcharge.
And I think, and again, not trying to like put anyone on a strata or whatever.
Of course.
But like there is a certain point where you do understand like, okay, yeah, this is bigger. This is
sure.
You know.
Yeah. More raw materials, you know, that go into the production of these larger garments.
Right. Yeah. But even then having the option to source, and that's another thing. Sometimes for my line, if I get a custom order, somebody says, hey, can you do this in a 5X? I'm like, yes, but it's not going to be the same shirt.
Right.
I have to go get like a Pro Club 5X, which Pro Club is you know, you're LA, you know Pro Club. Yeah. You know, it's not as nice. It's heavy and it's thick, but it's not as like soft and nice to wear as some other brands. And the colors don't always match up.
Right.
And so sometimes if I'm taking like a custom order, I feel bad because I'm like, yes, I can get you that 5X. It's just going to be a different brand.
Right.
So even just having those sizes available is really cool value. And I think it's just it's something that you offer, but really it's to the benefit of the users, you know, to people like me who are fulfilling orders and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to continue expanding those sizes, the 4 and 5X, for more of our men's products, and then also working on expanding our women's sizing range to be larger. Most of our products go extra small to XL, 2XL, which is 5 or 6 sizes, but we're going to continue working on getting those 3Xs for women.
I love that. I feel like there's nothing wrong with inclusivity, like that can't hurt anybody, right?
Of course, yeah.
Just letting more people be a part of the party, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We love a good party, and we want everyone to come.
Heck yeah. Dude, that's super rad.
Yeah.
Really quick, I do want to touch back on like the ethical production
Yeah.
of AS Color. You guys actually were ranked in the top 3 in the 2022, I forget the exact name, it was like an ethical production rankings, right?
Yeah.
You guys beat out like Zara and Puma.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty dope. First of all, how did that feel?
I mean, it feels great. So kind of just illuminating what you're saying, the report is the Baptist World Aid Ethical Fashion Report.
That's what it was, yes.
Yeah, it's quite a mouthful. But they basically are an independent organization that surveys 500 of the top fashion brands globally and ranks them on these various categories of sustainability and ethical production and all these kinds of things. And like you said, we scored in the top 3 out of those 500, beating out those brands. But I think maybe more illuminating is that we were just behind Patagonia.
Yes.
Which is obviously an industry darling now for decades, one of the leaders in kind of, green-minded and sustainable-minded production practices. So to see, our company just behind them is a pretty big testament to our, compliance and sustainability team and just the overall kind of company ethos.
Yeah.
So super excited to get that ranking. It's the second year, I believe, that we participated in that. Last year, we also scored very high, but we improved on our processes. And, we're always looking to innovate, right? I feel like as a company, you're either innovating or you're stagnating.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So we're real big proponents of innovation, not just on the production side of the actual making of the garments, but also like our internal processes. For instance, over the past, I think 24 months or so, we've eliminated plastic from our supply chain.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, massive. So we got rid of all of the plastic liners in our boxes. We've replaced them with like a cornstarch kind of biodegradable liner. We're not using plastic tape on the sealing of the cartons anymore. We've got this really cool kind of paper adhesive that gets like shot out in these various sizes that you need when you're kind of sealing these boxes up. So we're always trying to move the needle on how we can do things better. Dude,
that's incredible. And I know that's not cheap. And I know it's not easy to incorporate that across such a huge brand. So just the fact that you guys are taking steps to that. Now, how do you think that translates to me, the garment decorator?
Yeah.
Somebody like, I get it for you guys. You guys move the needle pretty big. But why do you think it's important, or what would you say, why is it important for garment decorators to have that in mind, to be socially conscious, to be eco-friendly even?
I think it's really just I guess kind of talking point about the current zeitgeist of we're in the information age where we're constantly getting new information and new sources of information about the state of the world and how global warming and climate change is affecting all these different kind of industries and countries, and to be at the forefront of that and making steps to kind of help alleviate some of those issues. I think it's super important for a modern 21st century company. Yeah. And it's interesting because our industry, I believe, has been fairly stagnant for several decades now. I mean, a lot of the same brands, a lot of the same kind of giants in the industry that just do things business as usual. Yeah. And when you see innovation happening with the newer brands and the kind of newer processes, and the perfect example is heat press, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen that technology both on the presses and the transfers themselves just get immensely better over the past 5 years, and it's creating more revenue streams for print shops, more accessibility for small decorators, and I would hope a less environmental impact than your standard kind of high chemical count printing process, right?
Wash it because you got to wash all those chemicals out. They all drain to the ocean.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I think there's there's definitely innovation happening on a lot of different levels, and to be one of those companies that's engaging in the innovation is super exciting and a super positive thing.
Dude, that's incredible. I really love that perspective on it.
Yeah.
'Cause it's something that a lot of people won't think of until it's presented to them.
Right.
Like, for example, me, like, I didn't really think about where my t-shirts came from until I started looking into AS Color. And you guys are actually really transparent about your supply chain.
Yeah.
Like, there's no questions about where the garments are from. Are they made in sweatshops? No, by the way. Sustainable, paying living wages to these people. Like, you guys are really transparent about that, which is great because now I have something more to think about.
Totally.
Whereas previously, and I'm not trying to be crude, but previously my t-shirts, they could have been made in a sweatshop. And not that I didn't care. Not that of course, I don't want any child labor, right?
Right.
But I just didn't know. And the average garment decorator doesn't know because the thought doesn't cross their mind.
Right.
They don't know if their garments are made using exploitative practices.
Right.
So now that companies like AS Color are coming on the scene, super transparent about supply chain, super transparent about sustainability, ethical sourcing, like, I think it's great. I think it's a win-win for everybody. And I would hope that the other companies would take notice and try to emulate what the new kids on the block are doing.
Yeah, I mean,
well, not that new, but
yeah, not that new, but relatively new speaking. I think it's basically a rising tide raises all ships, right?
Yes.
So I think ultimately we're just trying to get the industry moving in a better direction, a more sustainable direction, a more environmentally friendly direction. And yeah, it's again super exciting to be part of a company that values that and is innovating in that field.
Yes. Yeah, I agree totally. What are some steps that you think a decorator like myself could take to like increase their sustainability? Because you guys are taking care of it on the supply of the garment. What do you think are some ideas that garment decorators could be taking to kind of reduce their carbon footprint, be a little bit more ethical about their production? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing you can probably be doing is sourcing ethically produced garments, right? Because that's kind of the lifeblood of this whole industry. But I guess on a smaller scale, you could probably be emulating some of the techniques and processes that we've begun to do to eliminate, for instance, like plastic in our supply chain.
Oh, it's true, yeah.
Right. So I mean, I know that there's probably rolls and rolls of tape guns in every print shop out there, and just by sharing that process that we have to eliminate tape from our supply chain, it's not to say you couldn't do that on a smaller, localized level.
That's true. And then I know some people are going to balk, but it's more expensive. It's not really when you think you're using like a penny's worth. You're going to go from 1 cent's worth of tape to like 2 cents worth of tape per order.
Right.
So it's a lot easier than I think people would imagine.
Totally. And I think it's a lot easier to identify a trend that's already existing and kind of latch onto it. It's a lot more cost effective to do it that way rather than going through the R&D process.
Yeah.
So we'll do the heavy lifting on that kind of stuff, and the print shop industry can adapt to some of those best practices.
Going back to a little bit in the beginning, we talked about like what goes into making the shirt, but let's talk about the shirts because they're dope. And I've been telling everybody for the past like half hour that I love them, but like let's kind of dig into like why we love them.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I think the starting point would just be kind of a bird's eye view of what our shirt collection actually looks like. Yeah. What are the kind of keystone products, and how does that translate across the whole product collection? So I like to think of our range as being essentially pillars, right? So there's essentially 4 to 5 pillars within each product category. So for t-shirts, we're talking 4 to 5 different styles that make up the jersey that we use. So I talked a little bit about the 5051 basic tee, and that's kind of our entry-level 4.7 ounce t-shirt. The next step up from there would be our staple tee, the 5001. I got one on myself.
Yes.
It's a midweight 5.3 ounce t-shirt, and it's got about 60 colors, so it's really kind of like our bread and butter.
Yeah. 60, 60.
60, yeah.
Yes, nice.
And constantly expanding. We add probably anywhere from like 7 to 10 new colors on it every year. Yeah. So continuing to expand that.
That's really cool. So I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all
but
good.
like I think what people don't get, why I'm so surprised at 60 is because it allows me to stay on trend.
Absolutely.
Like with 60 colors, like you can cover so many different grounds. I feel like the trendy colors are always changing.
Sure.
So to have such a wide color gamut, like that's really solid. Okay, sorry.
No, it's all good. And as relates, yeah, I mean, when you have the word color in your name, AS Color, you got to bring some colors. So, yeah, so, you know, I kind of like to think of it like this as well. So the more colors we produce a product in, the more excited and kind of investing in that product we are.
Yeah.
So the Staple Tee with 60 plus colors now is really a marquee product for us and definitely worth exploring. So the next step up from that in terms of weight would be the Classic Tee, the 5026. And this is a 6.5 ounce t-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah. So
is it the same? Now that's the one that I haven't tried yet.
Yeah.
Is it the same softness?
It is. So it's a really interesting tee because it's heavyweight at 6.5 ounces, but it's made with the combed cotton. So it's heavy but soft.
Yeah. Okay, really quick, can you explain combed cotton? Is that, because I'm a little bit dumb, is that like ring spun or what's the difference?
So my understanding is that it's slight. There's a slight difference. Ring spun cotton basically takes the raw cotton and, like the name says, it's ring spun,
Right, okay.
with the goal of basically stretching out the cotton and getting it into this nice kind of fibrous, elongated yarn type of raw material. And then from that point, the combed kind of component comes in, where they basically comb those yarn fibers and kind of take out any of the additional impurities, any of the fibrillation or kind of seeds or stems or like anything that might be in that cotton. So the goal with the ring spun and comb cotton is essentially to create the best raw yarn that can then be woven into the most premium jersey.
Nice.
Yeah, which our garments are known for being, extremely smooth with very low fibrillation, which is like the fibers on the microfibers. And basically that allows for the printers to have a really nice substrate to print on.
Yes.
So it's almost like printing on paper, right?
Yes, and so I'd like to, if it's okay, I'd like to comment on that as it pertains to Heat Press. Now we're HeatPressNation, so we got a lot of vinyl users.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed is when I'm pressing vinyl onto an economy t-shirt that's not ring spun, definitely not combed.
Yeah.
You see the texture of the fibers because they're kind of like thicker cords, I guess if you could call them that. You really see the texture through the vinyl. Some people like it, some people don't. I don't want textured vinyl. I want it to look smooth and flat.
Right.
So on a combed cotton, when we press onto the AS Color, it's like, I'm so used to seeing the texture. I'm like, wait, did I press this right?
Right.
And I did press it right. It's just nice and smooth. So for those of you guys out there wondering, like, how does that translate? It's just going to be a nicer, smoother, cleaner surface to press on, which for vinyl especially, I guess for everybody's going to enjoy that.
Yeah.
But for me, because I've done so much vinyl, even for vinyl, which is, I guess, considered like the entry level. And as you go up, I'm sure for screen print, I'm sure it looks great.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the ink just sits so flat.
Yeah. That's what we hear from printers, constantly is that like, wow, my prints look so good on your t-shirts, and they're very sharp and detailed. There's not as much ghosting or distortion around the edges, and then they're also saving on the actual ink cost because less ink is required when they're laying down on a premium substrate.
Win.
Yeah, it's a pretty significant win. It kind of wins just keep kind of stacking up.
Heck
so
yeah.
It's cool hearing that feedback on a consistent basis, though. So yeah, I mean, I think the combed cotton versus carded cotton or non ring spun combed. There's a lot of benefits to using a premium product on the production side.
Yeah, and you guys, of course, you also have like fleece. Hats. I'm going to talk about this hat for the next 40 years, guys. Like,
I mean, I love that hat too.
Yeah.
I was like, definitely behind the production team and pushing them to release more colors because I saw like a lot of demand and a lot of instant success when we started launching it here in this U.S. market. So kind of just going back to the styles. So we talked real quick about the 5026, the Classic Tee, and that's our 6.5 ounce.
Which for those of you at home, that's the Pro Club weight.
Yes.
So if you like Pro Club, but you don't like how rough it feels, you gotta. Was that the 5026?
Yeah, the 5026, the Classic Tee.
5026, yes, sir.
Yes. And then so the last T-shirt, which is the newest one that we recently added to our collection, is the 5080, the Heavy Tee. and that's an 8.2 ounce. Yeah, which is
Ooh,
very
color
heavy.
me intrigued,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. So, I mean, we're getting into fleece weight on a t-shirt,
Yeah.
right? Which is like pretty crazy. But we've essentially built that to compete with like, you know, the kind of 90s oversized drop shoulder kind of vintage style t-shirt that seems to be pretty prevalent right now.
Yeah, and that's really important because I feel like t-shirt trends, thank God, while they do come and go, there usually is several years worth.
Right.
So we're not getting into, because I know you guys are very proud of the fact that you're not a fast fashion brand.
Right, we're not.
Not a fast fashion brand. So, and I don't, oh man, I don't know if we have time to talk about how much fast fashion is just bad for everybody.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is that t-shirt trends, they usually tend to hang out for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I like that you guys are pretty on point with offering these products, but offering them sustainably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about the drop shoulder? Because I've seen that everywhere.
Yeah, it seems to have a massive resurgence in the past couple of years, particularly in streetwear. But we've seen the drop shoulder kind of trend definitely growing in our own collection as well. So apart from the heavy tee, the 5080, we have the heavy hood, the heavy crew neck, the faded crew neck, the heavy long sleeve, all these kind of different tees that are speaking, different tees and different fleece styles that are speaking to that kind of that current trend with the drop shoulder.
Nice.
So yeah, basically, kind of going back to what we were talking about the different pillars. There's essentially the pillars are kind of classified by the weight. So we do a lightweight, a mid weight, a mid heavy, and then a heavy weight. And what's really exciting now is that we're franchising our products, which basically means that we're creating families of products with the same fabrics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if you are on our website and using it, you can type like in the search bar, you know, classic, for instance, right? The classic tee, the 5026, and you'll see all the different classic products pop up.
Yeah.
So we do the classic long sleeve, the classic tank top, the classic pocket tee. They're all made with that same fabric. So if you like the t-shirt, there's a good chance that you'll like these other products that are also made with the same fabric.
That's super important for brands because like as a brand, if you were going to offer a short sleeve and a long sleeve and a pocket, you don't want 3 different colors.
Right.
You don't want 3 different weights. You don't want 3 different feels. You want them to feel, because your customers, especially if you have fans of your brand,
Right.
they're going to buy one of everything because they love you, right?
Totally.
And they're not going to want to have 3 different colors, weights, hands. They're going to want them all to feel like the same. So that's super important. You guys, those of you with brands out there, you got to just get them all on the same page. Don't cherry pick the cheapest long sleeve to the cheapest short sleeve to the cheapest hoodie. Like, no. Your brand, please get on the same page with your blanks.
Yeah, I refer to it as vendor consolidation.
Yes.
Which basically allows you to capitalize on, like you were saying, the consistent color and the consistent fabric and hand feel across all these different categories. But on the operations side, it allows you to deal with, you know, 1 or 2 vendors as opposed to, you know, 6 or 7 vendors across all these different categories. So you're getting product consistency, and you're also kind of minimizing the amount of, you know, back and forth you have to do with all these different companies.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Which can be a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, especially when you forget, like, wait, who did I order hats from again?
Right.
Searching through all your emails.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a nightmare.
I'm sure your inbox is massive. I'm sure you got a ton of
I hate my inbox. Like 9 zillion unread messages.
It's good to be busy, right?
It is good to be busy, but yeah, my inbox. RIP. That's super cool. So you guys have the franchises for the different families of garments.
Yeah.
Like what else about the shirts do the people need to know? Let's tell them. People.
Yeah, I mean, what else? Well, what else can we tell you about the shirts? So
go buy one for one.
Yeah, buy one for one. We have no minimums, so you know you're essentially able to purchase single units of anything in our collection at wholesale cost.
That's also huge,
which is massive, especially when we're talking about more cut and sew styles like jackets and backpacks and pants and shorts and all these things that other manufacturers don't make, and or you'd have to go factory direct and sink a ton of money into inventory on.
Yep.
So capitalize on the no minimums, sample our product range because there's a ton of great products in there. But going back to the t-shirts, a couple other really good things that would be good for the general public to know about them. Number one is, because we're a retail brand, we've got 25 of our own retail stores where we sell direct to consumer.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We're approaching that quality from a retail standpoint, which is basically the nicest fabrics. Everything's pre-shrunk. We have an under 5% shrinkage rate, which is pretty low from what I understand of the industry. Yeah. Really solid color fastness. Our garments are considered some of the blackest blacks in the market, and they hold their color over many, many years. Like I was saying earlier, I've got 150 t-shirts I've collected over my 7 years. So really solid color fastness, and just a really nice quality control from production batch to production batch, which is really important, obviously, when you're doing these repeat jobs. So because we're selling in a retail setting, our QC is more in line with a retail brand than a wholesale brand.
Yeah, which also means that your blanks, if you're selling them retail, that means people love them so much they'll wear them with nothing on it.
Exactly.
How much more are they going to love it with a cool logo, with great artwork?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, for all these retail brands that are watching, or retail stores, us being a retailer ourselves should give you a lot of confidence to try our products in your own retail settings.
Yeah. Before we go, what is in the future for AS Color? What should we be looking out for? And are there any cool trends? That's a lot of questions. I guess I'm bundling into one.
No, it's okay.
Let's start with this. Are there any cool trends that you see on the horizon that people should be kind of looking into, offering to their customers, adding to their brands?
Yeah, I think trends-wise, that's a good question. I could talk about, the heavy garments, the garment dye kind of trend that's happening. I think what I see in a vast majority of the customers and conversations that I'm having and talking to is basically a lot of customers are just looking for premium.
Nice.
They understand that premium quality is more accessible now than ever. And their end users are searching for that as well. They want to buy their favorite. They want to find their new favorite T-shirt. And driving that premium quality home is, I think, a really big trend that is here to stay.
The sandpaper T-shirt is dead.
Yeah, I mean, at least for our audience, right? Like you're saying, there's all these different kind of sub markets and sub audiences within this industry, but for retailers and direct to consumer brands and on trend brands that are looking to do innovation, I think AS Color's whole product catalog is a really good solution.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so what's on the horizon for AS Color? Like, can you share us any secrets or anything we should just be looking out for?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the first thing that we want to be promoting is that we're going to be launching our second distribution center in the U.S.
Okay. Wait, so right now you guys are shipping everything from...
We're shipping everything from L.A.
L.A., okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
We've got about a 100,000 square foot facility that holds about 5 million units here in LA.
Okay, so you guys are very well stocked. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we've got good stock. But we're excited to launch a new facility in Charlotte, North Carolina, on the East Coast.
Beautiful. So East Coasters are going to get their stuff in like 2-3 business days or so?
Yeah, exactly. The goal is to really open up
cool.
the East Coast customer base and allow them to get product quicker. It's also going to be a much larger facility. So it's about 250,000 square feet, and it holds about 15 million units.
Okay, dude.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I love to hear, because that just means deeper stock.
Exactly. Deeper stock. As the demand for our product grows, we really want to invest in the stock and have it available for customers, both new and returning, to continue to run their projects on AS Color blanks. And this new distribution center is really going to help pave the way for that. And we're just super excited about that. So the timeline, I mean, we're basically down to the final couple weeks here. This has been a project that's been 3 years and counting now to get it online and kind of across the line. But the target launch date is basically at the end of this month, end of April 2023.
That's exciting. So for sure, May, we're talking summertime. All you East Coasters out there, you guys are going to get your stuff a lot quicker.
There's a couple of key new franchises that we're rolling out The first is our active collection, which we debuted at the Impressions trade show earlier this year. But it's basically kind of going after that, Lululemon, Vuori, those kind of like 100% polyester and blended fabrics for gyms and athleisure. We've got a really solid collection currently in stock and more silhouettes coming in. So that's super exciting. On a personal level, I'm really excited about our workwear collection. We've recently started doing like a heavyweight kind of duck canvas in the mode of like Carhartt or some of these other vintage workwear brands. So I think it's like a 12 or 13 ounce duck canvas. And that's currently on some of our products. We have the heavy canvas jacket. We have the Access canvas cap. And we're about to roll out aprons and vests and overalls and coveralls for those workwear clients.
Dude, I love that because so many of our clients are making things for businesses. And what's interesting about businesses is even the small business with 10 employees, they want uniforms for their 10 people. Screen printers are usually not going to take an order for 10.
Right.
And so customers with AS Color accounts who are maybe doing, short runs, now they can do short runs of the workwear products.
Exactly.
So you guys offering that to customers. And I'm thinking of people like me, decorators, who are doing small runs. Maybe I don't, because I don't have a full production shop.
Right.
I have a little bit of extra space in my house, but it allows me to take on more jobs. And so by you guys having more offerings, the way I see it, I'm able to make more money.
Exactly.
Like bottom line, who doesn't love a little extra money, right?
Yeah.
And so, dude, that's super exciting, man. I'm looking forward to everything that you guys are doing. Do you have any closing words for the people?
Yeah, we just would like to thank our existing customer base for being with us in the U.S. market for the past 7 years. It's been a great run. We've seen a tremendous success both with our customers and hopefully your customers as well. And we would invite all the potential customers out there who haven't tried us to reach out to us and learn a little bit more about AS Color, get those accounts going, and test out our product. There's really no downsides from what I can tell, and a ton of upside. And we're super excited to work with each and every one of you.
Awesome. Well, Wyatt, dude, thank you so much again for coming out here,
100%.
Sitting through traffic to come be a guest on the podcast. We really appreciate it.
No, it was awesome being here. Thank you so much for hosting me, and we're looking forward to more collaboration in the future.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. Well, this has been the Customizing Culture podcast brought to you by HeatPressNation. My name's Jared. This is Wyatt, and we'll see you in the next one.